What's up, witches? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this week's weekly refuel. If you don't know who I am Ali Kravitz. I am the founder of Witchwork, the only co working space for spiritual and wellness practitioners in the Bronx, New York. That's where we are right now. And I am the CEO of BetterWitch Coaching. And on this channel, I like to talk about spirituality and spiritual entrepreneurship, two things that are very close to my heart and that I know a lot about. And our weekly refuel sessions are the live group coaching sessions that I hold with all of my bunker witches. My bunker is the private membership group for spiritual and wellness practitioners that want to grow their community, grow their network, learn more so that they can be better at building the business part of their spiritual business and get access to a whole bunch of different resources, access to me, etc. If you are a tarot reader, a Reiki healer, a massage therapist, a yoga instructor, if you make crystal jewelry, if you make spiritual products, if you are building a practice or a business around your spiritual practice and you are ready for some coaching, you realize that you need some guidance and some education, then I am here to help you with that. And the bunker is a great way to take advantage of the group coaching that is offered, especially if you perhaps are not quite ready for one-on-one coaching or you want to learn more about what that has to offer you. The bunker is the space for you. You can join the bunker right now so you can get in on today's Q&A that's going to take place after this presentation. The link, I think I dropped it in the chat. I think I also put it in the comments, maybe. If not, it's definitely in the description of this video. So if you want to get into the live room and be with me and the other bunker witches that are hanging out behind the scenes, then you can definitely do that. Today, we're talking about something that is so unbelievably critical. It is probably one of the most important things you can ever do for yourself. If you have a practice, if you have a service, if you have a product that you want to share with the world, and you're figuring out how to make that actually profitable enough for you to be able to continue to do that. Because that's the big problem that I want to solve in this world. I want to solve the problem of spiritual practitioners and product makers not being able to do the magic that they are here to do because they can't figure out how to get enough customers, get enough clients, get enough revenue to literally be able to afford to do it. And in order to be able to do that, it is so absolutely important that you have multiple revenue streams, that you have multiple ways in which your skills, your knowledge, your products are being monetized. And the reason for that is because each of us has, the same amount of hours in a day. I know we joke that maybe Beyonce has a few more, and she does because she has help to not do the things that the rest of us are spending our days on. So in a way, she does have more hours. But for the most part, we all have like the same 24 hours, right? Yeah, so multiple revenue streams are incredibly important because we have finite time and we have finite energy personally in our bodies. And so, what that means is, thank you, Lauren. Thank you. It's great to see you, love. So, what that means is we have to be incredibly judicious about how we spend our time. And if the only way for us to make any progress towards what we need in order to keep our business going is to literally be rendering a service or literally making a product, you are going to find yourself overwhelmed. You are going to find yourself exhausted. You are going to find yourself without resources. And what can often happen with spiritual practitioners who don't know how to create multiple revenue streams from the services or products that they already provide is that we get into this crazy cycle, this like snowball effect of constantly offering new things and sometimes needing to actually go into um, different certifications, initiations, educations, etc., in order to offer those things. So a rotation that I see, quite frankly, happens with, like, let's say you start with tarot reading. And then tarot reading is something that you are genuinely passionate about. It's the service that you want to bring to the world. You've made an impact in people's lives. You know that this is what you want to do, but you're not able to get enough clients. You're not able to generate enough revenue. And literally, you're just spending money to be able to bring tarot readings to the world. So you think to yourself, okay, how do I fix this? Well, maybe not everybody likes tarot reading. What if I also became a Reiki healer and I could do energy healing for people that need cleanses, that are having problems in their lives? Or maybe I'll start offering custom spell work and I'll cast spells for people who need something other than a reading. Um, you might go and get a Reiki certification in order to deliver that Reiki. You might take some classes in order to deliver those magical products or custom magic work for people. If that doesn't pan out for you, then you might start thinking about herbalism and get an herbalism certification. And now you're offering herbal medicines. And I've just seen so many practitioners go down this rabbit hole of constantly offering new services and new products, and also sometimes also getting new certifications and new initiations in order to be able to offer those things. And it's this cycle of spending money to level up, spending money to gain a new skill, spending money to create a new product, but then still not recouping those expenses and not making the profit that you need to keep doing it. So you switch to something else thinking maybe that's what will solve the problem. And that is not the problem. I promise you, that is not the problem. Not having enough services, not having a diverse amount of services, these are not issues. Okay. Scrub Daddy is one of the most successful companies out there. They make one thing: sponges. Like they literally offered one sponge for like 5 years before they ever developed the Scrub Mommy and any of the other Scrub babies that they have created. They had one sponge and we're like $1 billion company with the one sponge. You don't need multiple certifications. You don't need to be packing on and adding on services, and you don't need to be creating products on the like off chance that somebody's going to be interested in them. What you want to get better at, what we all have to get better at if we want our businesses to be sustainable and for us to be able to keep doing them, is to realize all the different ways in which we can take one service, one product, one thing that we're passionate about, one thing that we're really good at, one piece of knowledge that we have that other people don't have, and monetize that in different ways. Okay. So the classic example that I like to use is about tarot readers. I like to start with tarot readers. Oftentimes, because I feel like that's a common interest that a lot of us have, but also is something that we kind of can all understand. Um, but the tarot reader offers a tarot service, right? And that is a one-to-one service that a tarot reader has to be doing at that moment in order for them to benefit from it, in order for them to see any revenue in their business. So immediately you're limited, right? Immediately you're limited, especially if you're a tarot reader that's working a 9 to 5. Maybe you have a family, you've got other things going on in your lives. The amount of time that you maybe can dedicate to tarot readings might not be, 40, 50 hours out of the week. And so when you have only that ability for your tarot reading skill to generate you revenue, you're just like immediately already limited in terms of how much you're able to generate for yourself. Now, pricing yourself accordingly and pricing yourself well is definitely a part of this. So go back to last week's refuel session where we talked about mastery mindset, because part of that conversation was about pricing yourself, and the fact that you probably are pricing yourself too low or not pricing yourself appropriately. So how you price yourself definitely matters. We're talking about the other side of the coin now, is assuming that your prices are right. Even if your prices are right, you're still capped by the amount of hours that you can actually spend rendering tarot readings. So, how can you take the skill and the passion that you have for tarot reading and monetize it in a different way that helps to eliminate some of this issue? So, first of all, subscriptions. Subscriptions, packages, bundles, these are a really helpful form of revenue stream to set up in a business. And what's wonderful about it is that it's great for products or services. And actually, hold on. Let me take a second to like interrupt myself and let you guys know that all of the things that I'm talking about today, that I talked about last week, that we're going to be talking about next week, are all a part of a revamping, a leveling up, how to really like take your practice to the next level. That's my focus for this month because it's April. We just finished the first quarter, and if the first quarter didn't really play out the way that you had hoped, hey, Minda. If the first quarter hadn't played out the way that you'd hope, you didn't quite hit your goals, you didn't see as many customers, clients as you would really want to, then now is the time to clean up what wasn't working and pivot in the direction that you want to be going in for the rest of the year. So I am going to be bringing my most transformational webinar, Power of the Pivot, back this month. And I want you all to be there. Even if Q1 went really well for you, I want you to be there. But we're going to be talking about all of those topics. It's a completely free masterclass that is going to show you exactly how to successfully pivot your spiritual business if you aren't seeing the revenue and reach that you would like. I created a 4 pivot point system that you can take in order to literally turn your business around. I'm going to be offering that webinar on Tuesday, April 29th from 4 to 6 p.m. And that's Eastern Standard. And if you're not available at that time, you will definitely get the replay if you are registered for that webinar. So I think I dropped the webinar link in the comments. If I didn't, I will. Bunker Witches, it's already posted for you in the bunker. So just make sure that you register for that so that you have access to the replay. And I'm going to give you my 4-point system in that webinar. But one of the things that I talk about in that webinar is multiple revenue streams. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And we were using the example of the tarot reader who is limited by the amount of hours that they can render their services. Even if your pricing is accurate, you're still capped and limited. Right. So one revenue stream that I recommend to absolutely everyone, whether you offer services or products, is a subscription or bundle or package type of revenue stream. I really like the idea of bundles. It's a great way for people to have higher purchases at the time while getting more from you all in one. And I really like subscription models because subscription models allow you to forecast into the future. One of the problems that we have as service providers is that once somebody comes to get a service from us, we typically don't have a guarantee that they're going to come back. And we don't know when they're going to come back and what they're going to get when they come back. So subscription models help to eliminate that problem because now you have folks that are locked in to some type of an ongoing membership. You know exactly how many people tend to sign up for new ones every month versus how many people you might lose every month. And that allows you to be able to look into the future and say, okay, if this continues on this way, I know that I'm going to be making this amount of money in this business. And whether that subscription is tied to a service or tied to a product or not, that's going to be true. It is even more true when it is tied to a product because typically the product has already been made and now you can send those out. If you're using a subscription or membership model for a service, you still have to render the service. So that does take on your time. It's not exactly a passive revenue model, but it is incredibly helpful, especially for forecasting, which can be really, really hard to do if you don't have these types of things in place. It can be really hard to know whether or not your good month of February is going to also happen again in May, right? But when you have subscriptions, when you have memberships, you're able to see that. And that lets you make really great choices for your business because you can invest in some things. You can purchase some new things for yourself. You can level up your website or your, MailChimp or what have you, because you know that there's going to be a baseline of revenue coming in for yourself. Okay. So that's a revenue model that I want absolutely each of you to like immediately start thinking about implementing for yourselves. Okay. The next type of revenue stream I want to talk about is more passive. And I sort of hesitate to use that word. I'm not the biggest fan of the phrase passive income. I think it's very misleading for the most part because it fosters this idea of like you doing nothing and then magically like money raining from the skies. And it doesn't work exactly like that. But passive income streams are very helpful because what they do is they eliminate that problem of time constraints. Because they can be happening when you're asleep, they can be sold while you're on vacation. They are not dependent on how many hours you have in the day to dedicate them. And that's incredibly freeing for anybody that is building a business because there's a really good chance that there's something that you're doing. There's a certain type of service that you offer. Maybe you do group services, maybe you do events, or maybe there's a certain type of product that you offer. Maybe you can do custom spell work for people, but that's a very lengthy process, very involved process, the way your practice is, the way how you do spell work. And so if you have some type of, I'm going to call it passive for lack of a better phrase, passive revenue stream set up, then that frees you to spend more time doing the things that generate the bulk of your revenue. Right. So sticking with the tarot reader example, the tarot reader has their one-to-one services, but they do individual readings as well as like groups and events. And let's say that that tarot reader charges a premium price for their event bookings because it's a big deal. They do a whole show. They're like, life of the party. Everybody's really happy. And so that's their premium offering. Then that tarot reader might set up a subscription or some type of a bundle package for either their group and event readings or their one-on-one readings that maybe somebody can get 3 readings for a certain flat rate, or maybe they can get 1 reading a month if they become a member at this rate, etc. So this is still just a tarot reader doing tarot readings. They have not become an herbalist and a Reiki healer and a crystal bracelet maker. Like they're just doing this one service. And we've already identified like 3 or 4 different ways for them to monetize that differently: one-on-ones, groups and events, subscriptions, and bundles. Fantastic, right? But those things require their time and energy. So that same tarot reader could then create a product that isn't dependent on their time. So maybe that tarot reader starts a private membership group for people that want to learn tarot. Maybe this tarot reader would also like to teach tarot. Or maybe this tarot reader would like to just host virtual or in person gatherings for people who would like to practice tarot. Maybe they're just a tarot enthusiast. They don't want to teach. They just want to have people who really love tarot. Or maybe they like to trade and collect tarot cards and tarot decks. People do that. Maybe they want to have events centered around bringing in your tarot decks and swapping or buying from each other, etc. That tarot reader could offer classes, of course, if they do, in fact, want to teach people to read tarot, or they might create a book or a guide. It might be an ebook or guide, or it might be something that they actually publish, right? So, all of these things are products that this same tarot reader can create that can generate income in a way that isn't dependent on them actually doing tarot readings in that moment. Now, the reason why I don't like to call these forms of income passive income is because it is not the case that you will just write the ebook and it will sell. It is not the case that you will just start the private group and people will come flooding into it. Okay. It is not the case that you will teach the class and people will sign up, or that you'll record the class and people will buy it. There's no guarantee of that happening, and it's not going to happen if the only thing you do is make the product. You will then need to advertise that product, market that product. You will need to create compelling reasons for people to want to join the product. You're going to want to collect reviews from to get that product for themselves so you can share that with other people. So there is definitely work that goes into these quote unquote passive income streams, but especially if you utilize things like automatic ads that you purchase on the platforms that you're on. You can do far less to market these things individually in the moment than actually rendering those services. Okay, so our tarot reader that we talked about, who was originally considering getting a Reiki certification and an herbalism certification and every other certification under the sun, just so that they could try to find something that quote unquote sold. We have solved all of those problems for this tarot reader. We have identified multiple ways for this tarot reader with just the service of tarot reading, with just the knowledge that they have right now, with just the experience that they have right now. They are able to offer one-to-one services to individuals and to groups for events. They can create bundles or subscription models for bundling readings, bundling event bookings. They can create a private group of enthusiasts or people that they want to teach. They can create a class that they either teach live or that they offer as a pre-recorded product. They could create an ebook or publish a real book. This is like 5, 6, because a lot of those were like multi-layered, literally somewhere between 5 and 10 different revenue streams that just this one tarot reader with the service of tarot reading could implement in their business. And this diversity of revenue allows them to also appeal not only to the benefits that it is for them, it allows them to appeal to a really wide group of people. So last week in our weekly refuel, we talked about niching down and getting really clear about who you are serving, whose problems you solve, who you're trying to call into your circle. And one of the fears that spiritual practitioners can have is about being really specific, fearing that that's going to limit them and limit the amount of people that are potential customers or clients. And this is a way where you can get rid of that issue and like open yourself back up to a wider range of people, because even though you're still talking to the same type of client and the same type of person that is interested in tarot readings from you for that reason, now you have different ways that they can engage with you and different price points that they can engage with you. So you have your premium offerings maybe for your events, but you're not limited to those folks, because now you also have an ebook that might be really accessible financially, or maybe you have a membership space that is really accessible to folks financially. And so people are able to still learn from you, work with you, enjoy whatever it is that you're bringing into the world without being limited by you just offering one type of revenue stream through your service or product. Okay. So hugely, hugely, hugely transformational. Okay. Not only is doing this for yourself going to prevent you, like going to allow you to reach more people, but it's going to prevent you from literally, I think the kids are calling it crashing out these days, but literally prevent you from crashing out. Like, if you try to create what I call the diner menu, where you offer people absolutely everything, you are going to be incredibly overwhelmed. And there's a really good chance that none of the things on your menu are really excellent. None of the things really knock it out of the park for people. And you're going to go much further if what your one service or your one product literally just does exactly what it's supposed to do for people, and it does it in the greatest way. People will sing your names from the mountaintops. They'll recommend you to your friends. They'll lock you in as their go-to whoever or whatever for life. Being really excellent at what you do is always going to get you further than having, every single thing available to every single person. But also for you, it's just incredibly overwhelming to try to do things that way, because each of those things requires your time and attention. Each of them requires you to market them and advertise them. Each of those things requires you to figure out when you're going to do them, when you're going to have the time for them. And it's just a recipe for disaster. So this right here literally has, this one thing has the capability of completely turning your practice around. completely turning your practice around. So that's why if you're on my mailing list, I was a little aggressive. I think my subject was like, stop, don't do it. But I wanted to like get people's attention, to be like, please, like, before you think about adding another service, another product, getting another certification so you can offer another thing, instead, look at what you already are passionate about, you're already good at, you already have knowledge on, and see if you can implement some of these other revenue streams. That's going to be huge. Multiple revenue streams is just one of the 4-point turn that I break down in my Power of the Pivot webinar. And I want to remind you about that. This webinar is the most transformational webinar that I teach. It's really a masterclass, honestly. And it's really appropriate for those of you who have already started your practices. So if you don't actually have a spiritual practice, a wellness practice just yet, you're in the beginning stages. I have other classes and webinars that are really great for you guys. But for my witches that have already started and just are not seeing the growth that you need, maybe you've got 5 to 10 clients a month and you can't seem to get past that. Maybe you send out 10 to 20 orders through your Etsy shop, through your TikTok shop every month, but you can't figure out how to change that. This webinar, this masterclass is for you. I have had to pivot my own business several times. And every time that I have done it, it's gotten better and better. And I've been able, through having to do it so many times, to identify the 4 things that you need to do in order to shift direction in your business and have it be smooth, have it be not confusing to your customers, have it not be overwhelming to you, and have it actually work. So that the work that you put into shifting things and fixing what is broken in your current spiritual or wellness business, it actually pays off for you. And the feedback that I get from that webinar is incredible. People just absolutely love it. It makes such a huge difference, for people. And now is the time of year for me to teach it again. Like I said, we just finished Q1, and if it didn't exactly play out the way that you had hoped, you have time, not a ton of time, but time to turn that around for the rest of the year. And if you take these 4 steps, you definitely will. So that webinar is going down on Tuesday, April 29th from 4 to 6 p.m. It's completely free. So definitely RSVP for that. I'm pretty sure I dropped the link to that somewhere. Everything will be in the comments if I haven't. Bunker Witches, you already have it, in the bunker, but everybody else on YouTube, don't worry, I will drop it in the comments, so that you can register, and be there for that. But before that even happens, start this. Take a look at what you already offer, are passionate about, and good at, and ask yourself, can I implement some of these other revenue streams? I promise it's going to have a huge, 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 huge impact on everything that you're doing. It's going to make your life so much easier. It's going to allow you to actually start to see returns from the work that you are doing. So, really, really huge. I am going to be letting you go, YouTube. It is time for me to hang out with the Bunker Witches that are behind the scenes right now. I'm going to be taking their questions, talking to them. Obviously, I know who they are because they are fantastic Bunker Witches. So I know about the pivots, that they have taken in their own business. But I can tell you that creating these multiple revenue streams, is incredibly, incredibly, transformational. So definitely take this knowledge and use it. And if this knowledge was valuable to you, please make sure to like this video, comment down below. Let me know if you're working with some of these revenue streams already, if any of these revenue streams that I talked about were new to you that you hadn't thought about, using for yourself. Let me know in the comments what you think about this material and if it's going to be helpful to you as a spiritual or wellness practitioner. Bunker Witches, hang tight. I'm coming behind the scenes right now to chat with you guys. If you would like to get into the bunker, the link to that is definitely in the description of this video. It is free to join the bunker for the first 7 days, and you get a free confirmation call with me. That's a one-on-one virtual call with me when you join the bunker. You just go in and book a slot with me, and that's an opportunity for me to show you around in the space, but also to talk to you about your individual questions and needs as a spiritual practitioner. So take advantage of that. Meet us in the bunker, and I will see all of you next week, Friday. Next week, we are talking about something that is incredibly boring. I'm just going to tell you right now. Okay. We're talking about data. Yes. We're talking about numbers. Yes. We're talking about analytics. Yes, we are. Snore. I know. Okay. But please be there next week. I want to change your mind about whether or not data, analytics, and numbers are boring and scary and frustrating. I want to change your mind about it because I was somebody who always like barely passed math class. It was never my strong suit. Thank God for calculators, right? So I have never been good with numbers. I've never enjoyed them. And only through growing this business has that become different for me because now I find it really fun to look at my numbers. I find it really fun to track data because it allows you to make choices without ever having to guess. Like imagine not having to guess what type of content your audience wants, not having to guess what type of services they want, not having to guess what type of products they would love next. Imagine that is what understanding your data, your numbers, your analytics does for you. It takes away all of the guesswork in figuring out what people want. So you can just go and make the thing instead of making things and getting crickets and no one caring and putting in all the energy and work. You can just do the thing, have it work, and move on. Your data and your numbers do that for you. So, we're going to talk about some of the most important numbers that you should be tracking in your spiritual and wellness business and what those numbers will tell you about your audience, about your business, about you, and about what you should be doing next. That's going to pay off for you. So, next week is definitely going to be super, super amazing. I know it sounds boring. There was nothing I could do to make the title sound any more interesting, okay, because it is what it is. So, please ignore the boring nature of the title. Be there anyway, because by the end, you're going to be like, oh, I can't wait to look up all these numbers. So, make sure to be there. All right, YouTube, I'm going to say bye to you. Again, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Meet me here every Friday at noon for these live group coaching sessions, our weekly refuels, and I will see you all later, Bunker Witches. Hang tight. Bye. Blessed be. What's up? What's